Hello and welcome everyone to experience the power of AI for faster, smarter tax research. My name is Regina and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Today we'll be covering the compliance challenges driving the need for AI-enabled research tools, how to use the AI-powered tax research assistant to get real-time natural language answers, ways to explore cross-border trade content, including AI-powered HS code classification, firsthand experiences and ROI stories from early adopters, the broader regulatory landscape, and how more accurate research reduces audit risks. Before we dive in, I have just a couple of housekeeping items. A friendly reminder that Avalara cannot provide legal or tax advice, but will answer as best we can. On your screen is our safe harbor policy. Please take a moment to review while I continue with some additional housekeeping. We're recording today's event, so if you'd like to listen to it again or share it with a colleague, you'll receive the recording within the next 24 hours. The console you're looking at can be customized. Feel free to move or resize the windows. Slides can be resized by dragging the bottom corner or by downloading the PDF slide deck under Additional Resources. The Additional Resources section contains related resources, including the slide deck. There are several ways to engage with presenters and attendees. First, if you have any questions, please submit them using the Ask a Question box. This will ensure that speakers see your questions and hopefully we'll get time to answer. We also have some people answering in the background. So we are hoping to get to the majority of questions that we have today. We'll try to save time at the end for some additional questions as well. You may also submit troubleshooting questions there in the Q&A box. Second, you can join our attendee chat. Click the icon at the bottom of your screen with the two chat bubbles and the attendee chat will appear. We encourage you to introduce yourself, network, and discuss today's topic. Third, you can react to the presentation by clicking on the emoji icon. All right, we're offering 1 CPE credit for today's presentation. And for those looking to receive CPE credit today, please note you must attend the full 50-minute duration. And we'll ask you to respond to 3 of our 5 poll questions. The questions will pop up on your screen for a limited amount of time, so please make sure you're ready to answer when the question appears. Please don't split or tile your screens on your computer, as this can affect the placement of the poll question. And the webinar platform may not render correctly on mobile, so please try to join us from a desktop. Once you've met the CPE requirements for today, your certificate will be available to download in the Earn Certification box on your screen. Click the icon to access, and it will open up in a new tab. Your certificate will also be sent in a post-event email. Unfortunately, we're unable to provide CPE credit to those who have technology issues that prevent them from qualifying. So if you do experience an issue, please reach out as soon as possible so we can document that. If you have a moment during the presentation, or at the end, please respond to the survey questions that appear on your screen. Okay, let's meet today's presenters. We have Jim Lundy, founder and CEO of Aragon Research. Jim, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey Regina, I'm a research analyst and the founder of Aragon. We've covered technology and emerging technology, including AI, including content management. Delighted to be here.
Thanks so much. All right, next we have Albert Poulos, lead product manager at Avalara. Albert, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm the product manager for Avalara Tax Research, our tax research product. I've been at Avalara since 2018, building tax products. And prior to that, I was a tax manager at Grant Thornton and EY.
All right, and then finally we have Visu Sumabranian, and he is the Senior VP of Engineering at Avalara. Visu, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Visu Subramanian. I'm an SVP of Engineering at Avalara. I lead various engineering initiatives and primarily focus on a lot of the AI initiatives at Avalara.
All right, thank you. Next for our agenda today, we are focusing on how AI is changing tax compliance landscape, the introduction to Avalara Tax Research. We have a live demo for Avi, our tax research little genie, Avalara Tax Research Trade Library, Avalara's AI narrative, the link to sign up for a free trial, and then finally Q&A. Okay, I'm going to get started with our first poll question today. Just as a reminder, you do need to answer 3 out of the 5 poll questions and then watch at least 50 minutes of today's presentation. So, how often do you use generative chat, like ChatGPT, Copilot, etc., to accelerate your work? We'll give everyone a minute to answer, and then we'll move on and take a look at the results. Some of the choices here are every day, once per week, rarely, and never. Okay, let's take a look at the results coming in, and I'll turn it over to Jim to take a look at that and start his portion of the presentation.
Yeah, Regina, it's really interesting that to see this because actually at the Avalara event last year at Crush, I asked this question and almost no one raised their hand. So it's great to see that we've got basically, I mean, majority of the audience is using it at least every week, but then you still got about 40% that are rarely or never. So I'm sure the other presenters can chime in, but I use it every day, and the thing is, there's so many tools now. So sometimes you discover another tool that actually might be free, and myself and some of our research analysts there were like, "Hey, did you try this?" For example, we were trying Notebook LLM yesterday because you can actually access that for free. So this is a great segue to kind of talk about the topic I'm kind of the intro act here for the webinar, and a lot of great information coming on what I would call a very complex topic. I'm going to talk about some emerging trends in AI and the area of tax research. So I've got a couple of slides. You can certainly ask questions. I'm going to be on the whole time. And I am the founder of Aragon Research. We've been covering AI for since 2013 and have watched it all evolve. And, if you cover search, which we covered, you had to cover machine learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll, get closer to what, Avalara is going to talk about, which is all the innovations that they're doing, which is also, I find very, very interesting. So this is kind of an opening slide, an aha comment. It's AI is almost pervasive. It's in the news every single day. I notice I did not say AI is smart, but AI is becoming pervasive in almost everything we do. If you drive a car, you're using AI. If you do search, there's now an AI mode when you use search. But it's becoming, kind of quietly part of our lives. And, if you use maps in your car, you're using AI. So there's a lot actually going on that might not be intuitively obvious, whether you use, what we call an assistant or not. My prediction is by next year, all of you will say you're using it every week. And, maybe some of the people that weren't using it was because maybe IT is blocking it, which they should not be doing. So anyway, so like I said, it's really kind of crept up on us. There's still a lot of debates. Oh, that's not real, or that doesn't work. But, really the thing I'm going to talk about is not about AI being smart, but really AI being more of basically a way to automate some of the things you do. And knowledge, tax information is knowledge, is one of the ways that AI can help people get work done. So I want to talk a little bit about, the eras, and this is kind of a tight window of some of the evolution that's been kind of going on since basically about 2022. And so it's only really a 3-year window because things are happening so fast. And, from the day that, OpenAI actually announced ChatGPT, which actually Google had announced it before that, their LLM, but nobody paid attention. But it's been literally just flying along. And, something happened last year. We went from kind of what we used to call conversational AI to what we're calling now is agent platforms. The chat interface was mentioned before in the survey. We kind of refer to that as an assistant that can actually talk to you. Something that happened this year is the launch of reasoning-based LLMs. So they kind of refer to that from a product as deep research. And we don't have a poll question on that, but If you haven't used a deep research thing, it's really trying to basically throw more horsepower at a problem, and it can actually take its time and go, research a question for you. Now, look, they're not tax experts, but they can go, do research, find things on websites, go look at regulatory things. So there's a lot of things it can do that it might take you hours and hours to do. I'll give you an example. We help some, large companies and small companies, and sometimes we help, some very early stage startups. It's kind of a service to the industry. And, we had a founder that really didn't know much about pitching, venture capital firms. And I asked a deep research engine to build a whole deck of all the questions to ask, how to let friends and family down easy. And it took a couple hours and built an amazing thing that I could have done, but I just didn't have the time to build all the basic questions that somebody like that needed that didn't have a background in sales. So that's why that's here. But the other thing is, now the big question is, where is all your knowledge? Because to the extent that you make that knowledge available to your assistant is to the extent that the assistant can be smarter in helping you answer questions. Because most of that, like for example, that deep research, I had to tell it the places I wanted to go to find, the stuff that would help, the validated places. Otherwise, it's just going to guess, and you get what they call hallucinations. Now, the big thing that's being discussed literally today, I'm talking about today, meaning July 31st, is not just the AI digital worker, but the next revolution in assistance that might be coming tomorrow, might be leaked today, where we might be getting closer to the artificial general intelligence. But let's just say a really smart assistant that can do a lot of things for you and answer questions that you'd say, I don't think it can answer that, and it can actually answer that. So there's a lot of stuff that's being hyped. Meta hyped it yesterday. Sam Altman's been hyping it. But one of the things that's right now today is you can build these agents that can actually do a full role. You don't have to have artificial general intelligence. So we call them agentic agents that basically can do a full role. Like, for example, an agentic agent might be, if you are trying to call your airline, you got to rebook your ticket because your flight got canceled. An agentic agent could take that and rebook 10,000 people in about 5 minutes. And basically it only does rebookings, but it can do it much faster than a human because it's all digital. So anyway, look, we'll have another version of this slide, for next year, because that's how quick it's moving. You've basically got 3-month innovation windows that are happening right now. And we're about to hit, this, where, the AI digital worker is actually kind of starting to come online right now. So it's actually moving very, very fast. Now, look, the other big thing is when we look at the changing AI landscape, and this is a big discussion that people have with us at Aragon, which is, what's going on here? What's going on with these AI agents, which we kind of refer to as the category of digital labor. And, we just published a big report on sales enablement. And in that report, which published last week, we said that every sales rep, our prediction is we'll have an assistant, a sales assistant, and that assistant will have 3 or 4 agents that do tasks for that human sales rep. For example, a scheduling agent, a proposal agent. But, the bottom line is here to stay. And really, when people say, is that going to hurt, jobs? Here's our take. Put aside what all the hyperscalers are saying, is if you look at automotive factories today, a lot of cars go to automotive factory, and there's a lot of robots in the factory. But, employment has gone down a little bit, but really not very much. Because even though you have these agents that do things, that they're really not that smart. So they're really going to do some of the tasks that people want to do. First-year attorneys don't want to construct contracts. So a contract assistant might help that attorney. But we really are entering this era where you're going to have more software applications called agents. They're going to help people do their work. And that's what the whole SaaS era has been about, which is, more SaaS applications to help people do their jobs. It's just we're calling them something different. So, there's 2 classes we would look at. So the idea of an intelligent assistant that basically is kind of a fixed thing. It might be just something that answers questions. It might be able to do, build like a mini agent to do some things like write a blog. And then there's the idea of an agent platform where you can use that to actually build these task-based agents that some of them are very rudimentary, but now you have full agents coming online like a sales development rep. That's something that some of the CRM vendors are pushing. They're much easier to build than you might think. The biggest thing we hear from clients is they want some help before they put their first agent into production. Like they need somebody to help them. And that's generally the only thing holding them back. So our view is, the assistant, like, again, might be a chat interface that, is your work assistant. And then, a number of role-based agents. In fact, we just go to the next slide. One of the things we think is going to be coming online is basically, and you can, whether you call it an assistant and we'll let Avalara talk about what they're doing, but we do think that, AI platforms for tax and compliance are here, and they're going to kind of help with a lot of different aspects of that, whether it's generating, reports, managing information, doing calculations, a lot of stuff that, might be stuff that you manually had to do inside of a platform, or you might have a tool like an assistant that helps you do that, or recognizes you need that and already does it for you. So, but we do think that this is going to be one of the roles that will evolve here, because we do think first it will be roles, meaning that, hey, I can, do this specific thing. And then you might see versions that are specific to industries and things like that. So really we see agents for roles first, horizontal, and then more on the industry side. So that's kind of a big deal. In fact, it kind of was a teaser. And again, this is kind of one of the leads, and the Avalara team is going to certainly talk about this, because they've helped to plow some of the ground for a while. It's just that maybe, not everybody knows all the stuff that they've done under the hood. So what's this whole idea of, the evolution? I kind of teased a little bit. We do see role things happening kind of now. So you're going to see a lot of agent, explosion of announcements this fall from companies saying, oh, we've got, for example, maybe somebody started with 3 agents, they might now have 10 or 20. And then, over the next 3 or 4 years, you'll see more focus on industries where you're going to say, hey, I have a role, but this agent's trained for that role in, for example, insurance or in wealth management. The idea of agentic basically means that it's a higher level agent that can really kind of do a job. And Aragon has defined a term called agentic systems that basically is the idea of an agent that can work with other, AI agents or with humans and do it seamlessly. So, like I said, there's a lot here, but that was quick flyby on some of the things that we're seeing. And I think I'm going to turn over to Regina now for a poll.
Yeah, let's move on to our second poll question. This is not the screen you answer on, so please wait for the next screen. Just a reminder that you do have to attend 50 minutes and answer 3 of the 5 poll questions. All right, and this is the screen that you answer from. What aspect of tax compliance do you find most challenging? Keeping up with changing tax laws, sales tax calculation, tracking, managing nexus, or managing exempt sales? This will stay on your screen for a moment. And then I'll turn it over to Albert, and he can take a look at our results. All right, let's see how everything is looking. Albert?
Well, hey guys, this answer doesn't surprise me, because we're going to take a look at this same poll from a previous webinar, which had very similar results. We know that keeping up with all the changes in 50 states and thousands of local jurisdictions is an incredible challenge, and just something that is foremost in the minds of our customers and is a worry that they have to deal with every day. So we're going to talk a little bit about how Avalara Tax Research can help you solve that problem, and how our new AI assistant, Avi for Tax Research, can make it even easier to get right at what you want to get at and move on with your day. So go ahead and answer if you haven't already answered, and we will get back into some slides. And if you are putting questions in the chat, we are looking at some of those questions. I've answered a few. Keep putting those into the Q&A. We're going to try to get to as many of those as we can at the end of the presentation. And we have a couple folks from our team who are trying to answer some as we go along, but we've got a lot of people here today. All right, so we heard from Jim about all the advancements that are happening so rapidly in AI. And part of my job as the product manager for Avalara Tax Research is to take some of those advancements in technology and incorporate them into our products to make tax professionals' lives easier. And we just heard, hey, keeping up with tax laws is one of the challenges that we see from customers most often, along with tracking and managing Nexus, managing exempt sales. Those are some things that Avalara Tax Research can help you with. Let's talk, before we bring up Avi and talk about some of the AI things that Avalara is working on, let's just talk about tax research a little bit. And I kind of want to dispel this myth that, or this thought that, tax research is somebody going through binders and looking up tax laws and trying to figure something out. We really don't see it that way. When I talk about tax research, we're talking about, I've got an everyday question that comes up in my role, whether I'm a tax professional, whether I'm a finance professional. It could be, hey, are we going to trip Nexus in this state? It could be, do I need to collect a certificate for this transaction? It could be, I want to expand my business into Europe. What do I need to do that? Do I need to register to collect VAT? Am I going to have to pay tariffs? If I want to source products, source raw materials from outside the United States, how are tariffs going to impact me? These are the kind of questions that come up for our customers daily. And even if you've automated sales tax calculation through Avatax or another tax engine, you're still going to get invoices that land on your desk. Somebody charged you sales tax. You're not sure if they should have charged you that sales tax. And you need to do research, which in our mind is just asking questions to figure out what to do about it. And we can help you do a little bit better than Googling the answer. We actually, we're going to look at an example in a minute where you'll get the wrong answer if you Google or if you use ChatGPT. And the reason is there's a lot of information out there, and not all of it is up to date and correct. Our real differentiator is we have over 100,000 what we call tax answers, which are answers to specific tax questions that are written and curated by our tax professionals, and we keep them up to date. So we know that content is correct, and when you land on one, you know you've got the right answer, and we have an audit guarantee behind that. In addition to that, we've got over 400,000 primary source documents as well. That's a regulation, the guidance for every state, and 30,000 tax questions that customers have asked us to our tax professionals. We've cleaned those up and saved them, and we make those available for everyone else to be able to review, so that when that question comes up again, you can see another customer's asked it, and we have the answer published. So what do we do with all that information? Well, with these developments in AI, we've launched Avi for Tax Research, which is now front and center in Avalara Tax Research, our tax research product. And Avi has been trained on all that amazing content that Avalara has to offer. And what that allows you to do is, I think of Avi kind of as almost as a librarian. We have this massive library of tax knowledge. And like when you walk into a collegiate library and there's 6 floors of stacks, well, if you're on your own, you're going to have trouble. The information's there, but you're going to have trouble finding the right book. Avi is now your librarian to the tech knowledge that Avalara has. You can ask it plain language questions, get plain language summary answers, and most importantly, you get linked to trusted citations and those tax answers that you can pull up, and it's correct, and you can utilize other product features that we'll take a look at alongside that. So Avi really transforms the way that you can do transaction tax research and makes it dramatically easier to use. So now let's take a look at Avi, and the way we're going to do that is through a few examples. This first example, we're going to take Bill. Bill is the tax manager at Microsoft, a company that does custom software development for legacy hardware. A client in Arizona wants to know if Microsoft can deliver a final build on a thumb drive, and Bill needs to confirm that no unforeseen tax consequences are triggered by doing so. Now, this is a tricky one, and it's tricky because different states have different rules around software. A general rule that happens to be the case in Arizona is that this is going to be, you're not going to charge tax on the software. But if you've got software that's delivered on physical media, that often triggers taxation. So let's take a look at Avi and see if Avi can help us with this problem. This is Avalara Tax Research, where you can harness all the knowledge that Avalara has. We're going to ask Avi this question. So we pull up Avi. I can give Avi this question that came from our example. Can you tell me whether custom software sold in Arizona is taxable when it's delivered on a thumb drive of nominal value? And we'll see what Avi says. Now, Avi's he has access to all 100,000 tax answers and 400,000 laws. He's going to look through that and decide what is most relevant to this question, and let me summarize it. So custom software sold in Arizona and delivered on a tangible medium, such as a thumb drive of nominal value, is generally not subject to tax. And the reason in this case is because that thumb drive is of de minimis value compared to that software engagement. So Avi's picked two tax answers here that we should dig into and verify our fact pattern. But these are the two tax answers that Avi thinks are most relevant to our circumstances. And so we've got one for sale of custom software delivered in a tangible form to a business, and one for an individual. In our scenario, this is for a business. So this is what we call a tax answer. This is what it looks like. And this is part of our software library. And we've got a clear yes or no answer. Hey, this is going to be exempt. And the explanation here that kind of walks you through plain language, why is this item taxable or not? Sales of custom software are not subject to tax. Arizona generally taxes the gross receipts from sales of tangible personal property and enumerated services. Arizona treats the sale of custom software as the sale of a non-enumerated service. So we've got some other things that we can look at when we're in this tax answer as well. You're always able to drill down. We've noted the specific authority sections that you may want to pull up. If you want to go all the way down to the primary source, you can take a look at the history and see, has this changed recently? The original research on this item was done in 2008. The taxability of it has not changed since then. So if we were in an audit, for example, we'd know, hey, did this change in 2003? Because we're looking at, did this change in 2023? Because we're looking at the 2023 tax year. It hadn't. So let's try one more thing with Avi while we're here. Because Avi understands the context of the question that you've asked it, you can continue the research without having to explain the whole scenario again to Avi. So let's ask Avi. Let's see what would happen if we had to deliver this thumb drive to Tennessee. So in Tennessee, it's going to be taxable, irregardless of the value. And we've got tax answers to support that as well. And if we wanted, we could compare this across all states. So let's say we want to save a matrix because we think this might come up in the future. I can quickly compare certain states, or I can compare all states. And we can pull this tax answer up for all states and export it into a matrix if I want to save it elsewhere. So that's how Avi can give you a lot of leverage in terms of very quickly getting to an answer of a straightforward question and getting you straight to the content that you know is correct. So just makes it dramatically easier to use. You don't have to know how to do a library search. You just have to have a question. So I think, speaking of questions, we have a poll question that we need to get to, and then we'll get back to Avi a little bit more.
We do. Poll question number 3. All right, this is the screen you answer on. Why is determining product taxability in the U.S. especially challenging? A couple answers here. couple choices to answer. There are thousands of tax jurisdictions. Rules change frequently and are inconsistent. Product definitions vary from state to state, or all of the above. And I will let Albert continue with this, starting with our results.
All right, guys. Looks like most of you are paying attention and are somewhat familiar with this subject. These are all true. There are thousands of jurisdictions. There are not just state level rules. There are local rules, especially in some of those fun states like Colorado and Alabama that we have to deal with. And unfortunately, those rules aren't always published very clearly. The rules change frequently. Whenever a legislature or even a local authority decides they want to change the tax rate or to change the rules around taxability or publish a new exemption, they are able to do so. And they are not going to send a notification to your inbox. Avalara Tax Research can send a notification to your inbox, but the legislature in North Carolina, unfortunately, will not do that. And then product definitions vary from state to state. That is true as well. In fact, sometimes it's difficult to define a product within the state. There are a lot of gray areas. And that's where we see a lot of challenges as well, where, for example, tax answers that we have really help you slice and dice between, I've got a product with certain facts. Does it fit in bucket A or bucket B? So if everybody's answered, I think we're ready to move on. We're going to look at Avi again with another example. So second scenario, manufacturer. Carlos is the controller at Shirt Express, a manufacturer of textile products. He's reviewing a payable invoice on which 8% sales tax was charged on 10 forklifts. Shirt Express purchased those forklifts last month for use in a production facility and warehouses near Raleigh, North Carolina. He wants to double check if the sales tax was appropriate and if the rate was correct. So let's take that question and let's see if Avi can help us with that one too. So Avi, are forklifts taxable in North Carolina? You don't have to word the question in a precise way because Avi can interpret that. So I can say taxable in North Carolina. I could say NC. I could, ask it, should I charge sales tax for this product? And Avi will interpret that question. So it looks like in North Carolina, there's some rules that we might not have known about if we didn't have Avi's help. So forklifts used directly in the manufacturing process are exempt, but forklifts used for shipping, warehouse operations, so associated with the finished goods, are typically taxable. So let's look at some of the tax answers that Avi has cited for us. So forklifts used in the manufacturing process are exempt from tax in North Carolina. Let's open that one up. And so this is a circumstance where Carlos would probably inquire and make sure he understood where those forklifts were going to be used in his business now that he knows that there's a special rule around this. So let's say he identifies that half of those forklifts, 5 of them are going to be used in the production area, and 5 of them are actually going over to the warehouse. Well, one of the things that Carlos can do is he can share this tax answer with the vendor so that they can issue a corrected invoice. So let's go and let's check out. Let's actually share that with the vendor. So I'm going to use myself for the moment. And I'm the vendor. And we're going to say, hi, please take a look at this citation. We are using 5 of 10 of the forklifts in invoice number 1001 in our production area. Can you issue a revised invoice? And we can send that to our vendor. They will get the email. You can get a copy of the email, and you can share that citation with whomever you need to so that they can see where you're coming from, understand the law, and issue a revised invoice, and potentially save your company some money. Another thing we can do with Avi is, let's go back to Avi and say, okay, what is the sales tax rate let's use our address for our warehouse, because I think they charge us 8%. That doesn't smell quite right to me. The total sales tax rate at that address is 7.25%. So there's a North Carolina Wake County sales tax and a special transportation tax. So it looks like they also may have charged us the wrong sales tax rate. We could include that into our message back to the vendor as well, make sure they correct that. So now let's go back to the slide. So we're going to look at one more example of how we can use Avi to accelerate our tax research. I think we both did it, yeah. All right, and I like this third example. And the reason is, this is a real question that a customer came up to me at our customer conference, and they asked me. So Emma is a tax manager at iCares Pros at a national chain of optometrists. Emma hears that in addition to prescription eyeglasses, iCare Pros is considering offering non-prescription, over-the-counter reading glasses at their front desk. Emma knows that they currently don't charge sales tax on prescription eyeglasses at their Indiana location, but knows taxability can be unpredictable. So she wants to check. And this is another tricky area, because anytime you're dealing with anything that is a medical device or could be considered a medical device, there are a lot of exemptions around that. So again, let's see if Avi can help clear this up for us. Are eyeglasses taxable in Indiana? And again, Avi's going to take a look at all our tax answers and all the laws that we have available and synthesize an answer for us. Eyeglasses are taxable unless they are sold by prescription, in which case they're exempt. So this is one of the things that we find really powerful about Avi and this technology is, even if you're not sure if there's a special rule, it can be really good at summarizing different scenarios that may appear. So when we first asked this question with that customer, I was not aware that there was a differentiation between whether it was prescription or not. But Avi was able to separate that out pretty quickly and provide us with answers for both. So let's see, corrective eyeglasses sold by prescription or exempt. That's what we do most of the time now because we're an optometrist. But if we're going to sell them at the front desk without a prescription, they are going to be taxable. So that would be similar to just like any other retailer, like you buy off-the-shelf reading glasses at Walmart, those are going to be taxable. But another thing you can do that ATR gives you access to is we have a team of tax experts that can help clarify some of these questions for you. So even if you've arrived on this tax answer and you feel pretty confident that you've got the right answer, but maybe your facts are just a little bit different, we'll back you up on that. So if you want to ask a tax expert, you can ask a question about any of our tax answers, and it will go to one of our professionals here who can help you clarify. So let's say in this case, what if the reading glasses were recommended by an optometrist, but without a formal prescription? So maybe we're trying to just kind of separate that out a little bit. Maybe we think our facts are just a little bit different than a typical scenario where you'd be buying corrective eyeglasses without a prescription. And we can send that question to one of our tax professionals. They reply to all those questions within 48 hours, and the majority of them are actually answered within an hour. So you have access to, if you still want to double check, or if you're not able to find what it is that you're looking for pretty quickly, we don't want you to spin your wheels. We want you to get to the answer very quickly. So if you have any questions about Avi, we can take some more of those questions at the end. I want to move on so that we can address some of those questions at the end. And I want to share one more thing with you guys. So we just also introduced the cross-border trade library in Avalara Tax Research. We have a separate set of cross-border webinars. If you're interested in cross-border, I invite you to come to those webinars. But we just added a library to ATR that allows us to surface all the cross-border content that we have at Avalara. So talking about cross-border pretty quickly, it's pretty challenging to sell across borders. You run into a lot of issues. It's a natural vector on which you want to expand your business. 95% of consumers, just do the math on population, are outside of the United States, but it comes with a lot of issues, right? Are we going to have to pay a tariff? How is this product classified? Is it going to get stuck in customs? Is it going to be too expensive? Is it going to create a terrible experience for my customer when we don't calculate the tariff correctly and it comes due to them when it lands? Those are some of the challenges that we run into with cross-border. And the core of cross-border and kind of understanding what do I do with this product, how do I get it across the line, is you just got to start with the HS code. So the HS code, they're not Avalara codes. They're an international standard of codes, which dictate what kind of product this is. You classify the product into a code, and every country has rules around you've landed on this product, this tariff code, this HS code. What are our rules around restrictions, de minimis rules? What rates are we going to charge? So the first 6 digits of an HS code, they're universal across all countries, and they're going to indicate which product this is. You'll classify it to those 6 digits, and then the last 4 digits are country specific, and each of those countries may have a different duty or different rules around how you import it. In addition, the codes are extremely specific. So if you've got this pair of slippers, you get a different code, whether it's medical or ballet slippers, if it's slippers for women, or if it's just generic slippers. So one of the issues we see is miscategorization, especially in some of those finer categories, can lead you to the wrong result. And in this example, these slippers have different tariff rates depending on exactly how it's classified. There are also restrictions that are in place. So for example, if you classify this can of beer, you can import that into Canada, but you cannot import it into Jordan. So you need to know about those restrictions. So quickly, we're going to take a look at a scenario with drones. So our business, we're a global drone manufacturer. We want to start importing drones from China into the United States. So let's jump into the Avalara Tax Research Trade Library and see if we can figure out if we're going to be able to do that. So I'm going to share my screen again. And we're going to go into the Trade Compliance Library in Avalara Tax Research. We have all the HS codes and all the details on the HS codes in this library, but most likely what you're going to want to do is find your product. And we have a really detailed classifier that can help you accurately do that. So we're going to start with drone. Our product description is a drone, and it's coming from China. So we're going to classify this product, and this is going to walk you through exactly the questions that you need to answer to be able to properly classify this product into an HS code. So this is going to be it's a hobbyist drone. It's going to be under 250 grams. Here we are. So this is our HS code, 880621. Let's see what the data looks like on that HS code. So here we can take a look at, there's no favored nation rate that applies. There's no free trade agreement with China. There is no de minimis threshold with China. In fact, let's compare to what would happen if we imported this from Canada. And you'll see that $800 de minimis threshold. You used to be able to import things from China that fell under that de minimis threshold. That is no longer the case. Just with the trade wars going on right now, that you can know that de minimis threshold has gone away for China. So you need to know that. You also need to know that there's a 55% punitive duty on importing this from China right now. And in fact, there's some restrictions as well. The FAA and the EPA govern what you can do with a drone in the United States. So you have some additional compliance requirements down here that you might want to investigate to make sure that you've got the right, you've got everything sorted to be able to import this. And finally, you can download an audit trail to share if you've got someone who's challenging your HS code classification. You can download an audit trail and show them how you got to this HS code. So we think this is a really powerful tool that surfaces a lot of the knowledge that we have at Avalara around cross-border trade and is a great companion to our other cross-border trade products. So we're going to jump back to the slides. And I'm going to hand it over to Visu in just a moment, but I want to tell you about our free trial program that we have with ATR. We think this is an amazing tool that is really going to help you in your practice and in your business. And we really are inviting you to come try it. There's a free trial link that you'll be provided as part of the resources with this webinar. You go, you sign up, you put in your email address, and you'll have a login today. You can try out Avi, you can try out the trade library, and we really hope that it saves you some time. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Visu.
All right.
Oh, I think
So
we have a phone question.
We do have a poll question before we go into Visu's section. Question number 4, and just a reminder, you do need to answer 3 out of the 5 questions and watch at least 50 minutes of today's presentation. So here is a screen where you can answer. How concerned are you about cross-border trade compliance in your organization? Very concerned, it's a top compliance priority. Somewhat concerned, we're actively managing risk. Or minimally concerned, it occasionally comes up. And finally, not concerned, we don't trade across borders. All right, I'm going to turn it back to the team to take a look at the results. Albert, why don't you take the results on this question?
Yeah, sure. We're actively managing risk. It occasionally comes up. We see a lot of customers who are concerned about this. They're trying to figure out what it means for them, and watching it, on a regular basis to determine, maybe it's something I need to act on now. Maybe it's something that we just need to keep watching. But I've talked to a lot of customers who, maybe they're not selling overseas, but they're some of their raw materials that they import directly or they import through another vendor are coming from overseas. I mean, it's a very global world now. So the majority of businesses we're seeing affected by this and concerned about this.
All right. Thanks, Albert. Just one note on the cross-border aspect of it. One of the things that we are active in Avalara, because of the current environment where tariff rate changes quite a bit, quite often, and there is punitive charges on top of it and retribution and so on. So one of the things that we do in Avalara is to really spend a lot of effort and attention to keep on top of all of that stuff. It's been a lot of focus in the last few months for us too. All right. So what I'm going to talk about is really what's our focus point when we think about AI, not just in ATR, across Avalara, and how we think about AI in the space of tax compliance, especially when when trust and accuracy and efficiency are all very important aspects of it. So broadly, we look at it this way. For all our customers, we stay true to our mission. We want to make our product the fastest and the easiest for you to use, the most accurate we can get, and it's reliable and it's valued by our customers. That is our core focus. AI is an enabler for it. When we look at our technology, we evaluate and look at that and say, does it help move our mission forward? Does it produce the value that we provide our customers, and customers trust us? And we use that as the sort of a threshold in how we use AI. Even for everything that Albert just demoed to you, there was a lot of work on bringing the technology, but there's a lot of work in testing it and getting feedback around it. We continue to get feedback around it. Ultimately, we want to get to a place where our answers are always trustable. And one of the things that is specific and special about Avi is it's trained on data and content that our researchers, our subject matter experts provide. That's the information that you will find even in ATR when you go through the various libraries and browse through it. That information is vetted by our subject matter experts, and Avi has access to it, and primarily it answers questions from that corpus of our content. And we do that because this is not something where we look and say, well, if it's okay to hallucinate because we use AI, we want to make sure that our answers are accurate, and so we base it on things that we vet and we trust. So that's the first sort of aspect of where our AI vision takes us. The second one is we work with lots of partners. And we have thousands of partners we work with. And we are looking to not only make sure that our solutions are available to our partners, going forward, we are looking to innovate with them. So even if you're accessing Avalara services through our partners, we still want to make sure that you get the best and the experience goes very well as you're working with our partner systems. And you will see Avalara pop in there. You can trust that what we're doing is the same that when you work with our partners too. At the same time, we also will work with our partners to make the experience better, and the overall aspect of everything else you're working with partners will work better too. Everything that we do, we also dog food within our own organization across the entire Avalara organization. We are bringing in AI to focus on a lot of tedious tasks that we do, and this is probably true for everybody that's listening here. You've got lots of tedious tasks. You have things that you would rather not work on and work on more valuable kind of things. And those typically are the first places you'd look for AI to help. And we do that. We do that across the board. We also have Avi available internally too, to our various teams internally. So we will test everything that we do internally too, and we use AI in various departments to make ourselves work better and focus on more valuable things that we can produce more value for the organization and for our customers. So with that, there's also a history that we have. We were the first organization to be cloud first, the first first set of products that were running on the cloud. And similarly, using of AI within Avalara has been around for quite some time. As AI capabilities improved, we continue to keep up with it, but we at least have like 8 years to a decade of experience with various AI. As Jim was mentioning earlier on, the AI capabilities and the pace of innovation has increased dramatically in the last 2 years. In my experience, I've never seen that much speed and that much innovation happening and that much accessibility to AI. And we want to be at the forefront of it. This is something that is near and dear to us. We will use whatever tools that we can to make sure that our products are better, our partner experience is better, and that's something that continues to drive us. So if I'm not necessarily planning to go through each of the boxes here in this picture. What it actually says is, along the way, the various innovations that came in AI, we were there, and we brought in those innovations to our products safely and securely, and we'll continue to do so. So that's our path forward. Within Avalara Tax Research, you will find over time that we'll be adding more and more tax research areas across getting it from across our product portfolio. And Avi will just have more answers across multiple different types of compliance areas. And as we get through that, its accuracy and its abilities, especially Jim was talking about agentic AI and so on, you will see more of it across our Avalara products. And we're very excited about this future. We're looking forward to it, and we'll take feedback from you along the way and improve each of our products. And with that, I'm going to it's the next poll question.
Yes, poll question number 5. Just a quick reminder that you do need to attend at least 50 minutes. I think we're safe there, and answer 3 of the 5 poll questions. And poll question number 5, would you like a follow-up from an Avalara sales representative? While I give people time to answer that, I'm going to start on some Q&A. We do have a little bit of time for that. So first question, is Avi only for US taxes, or does that work for VAT, GST, or other taxes in other countries?
So I'll take that one. Avi is trained on the US tax content today. We do have some VAT GST content within ATR, but Avi today is focused on the US sales and use tax questions. And it's something we're actively looking to expand the scope of what Avi has access to. In fact, we talked about the trade library today. One of the things that we're teaching Avi in the near future is to access that trade information as well, so it can respond to trade questions.
Okay, excuse me for the coughing. Can you see your history of Avi questions and answers?
All the tax answers have a detailed history that shows has the treatment changed and when was the research last done, last checked. Avi does not. We do not have a feature where you can go back and look at past conversations that you've had with Avi recently. But we love those ideas, and we'd love to hear from customers, what they would love to see next in Avi.
Okay, and Melissa asks, you may cover this, but just in case, does Avi work well for services, or is it more geared towards tangible personal property?
Avi is trained on all of our libraries, so that includes the services libraries. And I suggest that take advantage of the free trial and try it out because we really think you're going to like it. Let me answer a couple of questions I've seen a couple different times.
Yeah.
We've got a ton. Amazing. But one of the questions I've seen a couple times is just a little bit more of try to understand, what is Avi trained on? What does it know? Avi is trained exclusively on Avalara's tax content. It's not trained on anything from the web, like a ChatGPT would be, and that's one of the distinct advantages we think we have with Avi, is that it's not going to pull from something someone said on Reddit one time. It is going to pull from our tax content, and in fact, that first example that we looked at with the thumb drive, if you were to try that, I haven't tried it today, but in the past when I've tried that in ChatGPT is getting the answer wrong. And confidently wrong, which is just a little bit of a warning around how you use some of these tools. Make sure that you're kind of following up and going down into citations. We really think that's one of the advantages of Avi. When you drill into a citation, you're drilling into a tax answer that we have very high confidence in, as opposed to something that was synthesized from available knowledge on the web.
Okay, I will ask another question here. We have just a couple minutes left. What is your, actually, I think you just answered that one. So let's go to another. Let's see, if you've got one that you'd like to answer, please feel free to chime in.
I've got one. So is it possible to select and review research data from more than one state simultaneously? Avi will attempt to do that today. We actually recommend that you go, you first start with one state and then use the features within ATR to compare across states. We looked at that a little bit, but that's the best way to do it today, because then you get a really complete view and you can get a matrix. And again, we're working to give Avi more access to more data and more features. But today, the best way to approach it is let's use Avi to help you find the right item, the right tax answer, and then we have other product features that do a really good job of helping you compare across all states, save it for later, look at the history, all those kind of things.
All right, I think we have time for one more. How often is Avi updated?
So the content within ATR is updated daily. So if a law change happens, our team is on it pretty quickly to update the relevant tax answers. And Avi right now is updated, I believe, once a week. It will consume that new information. So it's at the rate of change, it's going to be picking up on changes pretty quickly.
All right, thank you so much. We have a couple of housekeeping items as we end the webinar today. If you qualified for CPE credit, you can download your certificate now in the CPE certificate engagement tool. It will also be available to you in the post-event email that you'll receive within the next 24 hours. If you feel that you should have received credit and your certificate is not appearing, feel free to respond to the email and I will take a look into it. Just wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. Crush, I know it was mentioned earlier in the presentation. So Crush is going on tour this year. It's been to a couple cities already, and there are 2 more dates coming up in September. So check that out at events.avalara.com for details. And be sure to check out our upcoming webinars at avalara.com/webinars. And I'm going to bring this slide up one more time, and you'll have an opportunity to be able to click on the PDF version if you downloaded that from our console, or in the post-event email that you'll receive, you'll be able to click on this slide in the deck and sign up for the free trial. And that concludes today's webinar. Thank you so much to all of the attendees and to our speakers.